Welcome to this session created for you by Future Tech Systems, the software authors of Envision, a business object repository. We hope to persuade you, if you're not already persuaded, that mature organizations are best placed to be agile. There are a number of ways of measuring an organization's maturity, but in this talk we're referring to the business process maturity model as defined by the OMG, which describes an evolutionary improvement path to guide organizations as they move from immature, inconsistent business activities to mature, disciplined processes. The model comprises 5 stages, and each stage provides the foundation for the improvement at the next stage. The 5 steps each increase the business value of the activities and documents the capabilities. By level 4, business activities and performance is managed consistently throughout the organization, and business metrics are linked to value streams. When an organization hits level 5, the business supports agility through all disciplines. The maturity of an organization's processes measures the extent to which processes are explicitly defined, managed, measured, controlled, and are effective. A mature organization has defined and classified its business capabilities. Core capabilities are those built up over time that cannot be easily imitated and therefore constitute a competitive advantage for the organization. Supplemental capabilities add value but can be easily imitated. Supporting capabilities are necessary but not sufficient in themselves to competitively distinguish a company. These capabilities are candidates for outsourcing. It's a golden rule of outsourcing that you should completely understand what you outsource. You need a mature view of the process, required capabilities, and touch points. How can an established company be immature? There are many organizations that depend upon the skill and flair of individuals. The sales manager who's great at motivating his team and closing vital deals as year-end approaches. The finance director who has all the key indicators of the firm in his head. These stars of the organization are also the weakness. There can be huge inconsistencies across the organization. If a star decides to leave the firm, then a lot of knowledge walks out the door. Departmental initiatives and individual projects can be risky because they impact unknowns in other groups. Even large US corporations can appear successful while carrying unknown quantities of internal risk. Recent examples in the public domain include Wells Fargo and General Motors. How can a new company be mature? New companies need their stars. New ideas, energetic innovation, disruption to the status quo. New companies don't have established traditions. It's comparatively easy to set up enterprise-wide processes and model the new organization and link the models to transaction systems to measure performance almost synchronously. All new companies start agile. The best become mature at the same time. Every management team carries an array of perspectives. Enterprise-wide maturity with a culture of continuous openness facilitates agility because each team member can, through business models, see the impact of change on existing value streams on other departments. Level 5 maturity success demands that organizations continually reassess and embrace continual improvement. How to judge? Let's hear from the team.
How do you know that you have arrived at level 5? There are 5 sets of key indicators.
Level 5. Validation. Goals and objectives.
Our employees do understand the organization value streams and their role in contributing value.
Culture.
There is continuing sponsorship from senior management for an agile organization. We have proven that our internal communications are adequate for a culture of continual improvement.
Processes.
Our processes are fully modeled and linked to our capabilities, systems, and value streams. Regular peer reviews are scheduled to make sure that processes are being re-evaluated for effectiveness.
Technology.
We can now honestly say that IT is focused on our value streams. We have made the best current guides and enabler information readily accessible at the point of need. Departmental activities be monitored through an enterprise-wide dashboard. Our departmental apps are now properly managed.
Governance.
Our guides and enablers are readily available at the point of need. Are they being used? There are dashboards that deliver meaningful information, reports available on demand to support every role. Process audits are easy to execute.
Let us show you Envision. It's a product that has helped many organizations improve their maturity and drive their agility. Lisa heads up our service delivery teams. Over to you, Lisa.
If you want to start on the road to maturity, the first step is to start putting all of your models, diagrams, enterprise informations in one location. By simply making buckets for people to start entering their data, we can start to gather all of the necessary information as they do their normal day-to-day work. In order to make this happen, you need a tool that offers flexibility and customization. You'll notice our top-level portal here. It looks a lot like a web page or PowerPoint presentation. In order for your tool to gain acceptance enterprise-wide, it needs to speak to all stakeholders, not just those interested in seeing technical views or BPMN notation. The ability to customize the user interface as well as the modeling notation and even the attributes you are gathering is vital to success for any repository tool. So flexibility begins with the ability to model any notation using any symbol set and gathering a variety of attributes that can be customized by the user. As your stakeholders start working, they can use their own methodology and notations to draw diagrams, gather data, and work in a way that they are used to that makes sense to them. If you can adapt to their notation, rather than forcing them to learn a new way of modeling, they are more likely to use the repository tool when fighting fires and doing their day-to-day work. By getting everyone to start working in the same place, you begin to build your enterprise solution one day at a time. So in this example, we've created various buckets for users to start storing their information, and we've implemented the notations and methodologies that they're currently using. Let's take a look at some of these examples. We'll start with technology. In the technology department, our users wanted to start with a more functional view of the organization. Even though our business analysts have great process maps and capability models, for the tech department, they feel more comfortable and it makes more sense to them having a breakdown through a functional lens. Everything is interconnected in the repository, so they can have their data organized functionally, but still aligned to the process and capability models. I'll show you what that looks like as we go. We've also captured services views that allow our technology department to see what services are being rendered and expected by various organizational units. Again, this is done in the notation that they were already using, and these diagrams look exactly as they did in Visio before we imported them into Envision. Another key to a successful tool is the ability to import the diagrams that you already have. Whether you have these in Visio or other modeling tools, users aren't going to want to redraw and remodel work that they've already done. Make sure that your tool, like Envision, can import from a variety of sources, including XML and customizable import filters. And again, flexibility in your tool is key. We want to allow for technical and complex diagrams that gather data and can export that information to workflow engines or other sources for automation. Exporting is just as important as being able to import. But our tool also allows us to draw pretty pictures that speak to our C-level and high-level executives. So now that we have IT contributing to our enterprise solution in their bucket, we can start linking in the business data and connecting it all together. That really is the key to maturity, to have all of your objects, goals, strategy, metrics, processes, systems, data, all interconnected and linked. So if a change is made, all the impacts are immediately visible across the entire enterprise before you implement the change. On the business side, we're going to start by gathering the existing capability models and putting them in one place. And sometimes these are not even diagrams. Sometimes this is just a list or a table that we're importing. A nice to have when looking for a tool is one that can take data from a table and create a diagram or visualization from that data for you, like the one you see here. By importing the information from Excel, our tool created the initial view of our capabilities, along with bringing in the underlying attribute information. All of the data that was previously in Excel can now be viewed visually in the tool and modified through property sheets. Again, providing users with formats they are comfortable and familiar with is key. But by using a repository tool, all users can now work in one place, and the views, tables, attributes are all linked together. Now, as our business users do their day-to-day work, they can begin to build out the underlying capability models as they go. Users can create more detailed capability views or continue to enter data through a table view. If they just aren't loving the visualization, they can continue to use the table. I have learned over the years that some people just love tables. Not everybody wants a pretty picture. Meeting stakeholder needs while creating a linked and consistent repository is key to success. Let's take a look at the process bucket now and see how this all starts to link together. Another key component of a successful tool is to allow users to add complexity as they go. In our BPMN models, we're now adding layers. These layers can be customized by the users to reflect information that they want to see. For example, we have a BPMN change layer with little sticky dots on the diagram. Now, because of our security, only the BAs assigned to the BPMN change team can see these sticky notes. When we go to print or report, these little dots won't appear on our models. We also have another layer with systems. And again, these are only available for viewing and reporting on by people with proper security. So not everybody has to look at these lovely green boxes. Now, here's a huge what to know and why you would use a repository over Visio or another drawing tool. If your users are going to want to do things like these green boxes, make sure your tool has what I call object-to-object linking. Make sure it has lots of different ways to create relationships. Obviously, when you draw a connector or put something on a property sheet or even create an underlying subview, you're creating relationships between objects. But in Envision here, I've actually created a relationship between the process and the system simply by overlapping or having those two pictures touching on the diagram. Only a really great repository tool can have this object-to-object relationship. Having object-to-object relationships allows me to not only see these changes visually on a layer, but also I can bring up reports and look at these through a matrix or other type of analysis within the tool. This data could also be in a spreadsheet, exported. You can do lots of analysis with the pictures you've drawn. And that's a huge difference between just a drawing tool and a true object-oriented repository. Easily updating the meta models as you go is another critical success factor in becoming and staying agile. As users begin, we may only have a few attributes we care about. But as time goes on, we may need to add pages and attributes to our property sheet. Be sure you pick a tool that allows you, the user, to easily customize the meta models, not just the palettes, but also the attributes and the property sheets. For example, if we look at prepare food, we have some initial attributes that we're gathering, but as we go along, we have new metrics that we may want to capture, or new cost information, or a variety of customizable attributes. If you have to go back to the vendor every time you need to customize your property sheets or add attributes, that can become costly and time-consuming. Definitely not agile or mature. Let's take another look at prepare food. In addition to having attributes associated with this object, we can also have multiple subviews underneath prepare food. The ability to switch between modeling notations seamlessly within your tool is important. That way, underneath this object, we could have a view for systems, data, KPIs, resources, etc., all using different modeling notations, and it would be no big deal. One of the subviews underneath prepare food is this custom context view our users have created. They're using their own notation with clip art and pretty pictures in order to convey their message more clearly. They've also added layers to help with clarity. We all know how complex certain views can be. The ability to separate compliant versus non-compliant, or as is versus to be information, even COVID requirements, is key to success. And just like we can customize attributes, these layers are customized by the enterprise, not the vendor. This creates agility in any situation, even a pandemic. You can't respond and change quickly if your repository tool can't respond and change quickly. Now, let's see how this all starts to pull together. This is where it is so important that you have a tool with consistency and persistence across models. When I click on Provide Equipment in this context view, I am able to link to applications and equipment defined and managed in the IT bucket. I can see and link to their data without having to traverse through all the data models on the IT side of the enterprise. But because everything is linked, if I do want to hop over to the IT side of the world and I have proper security and access, I can. Let's go back and find our customer object again. In this view, I've renamed our customer to be Pizza Customer. I've also done a show where used to show all the different views on the left here where customer is used throughout the entire project. When I rename this object here to be pizza customer, it's renamed everywhere else throughout the entire project. So if I go look at the customer retention systems view, you'll see that pizza customer has been renamed here as well. When I rename this object back to customer, those changes will be automatically updated everywhere. In our capability models, in our stakeholder view, even in an information view, customer has been updated. In fact, not just in the pictures, but in all the property sheets, reports, textual references, spreadsheets, anywhere customer has been used, the name has been automatically updated. Make sure you're looking for a tool powerful enough to maintain consistency everywhere, not just in the pictures. This will not only save the BA time by not having to search and update all the references manually, but you know that the repository is always up to date with the most current information, and you can make informed and accurate decisions. To see an example of how we might start to use this real-time information, let's take one last look at our customer. We have jumped all around finding the customer on all the different diagrams. But what we need is a tool for quick and easy analysis. How can I determine all the touch points for the customer? Or even the cost of changing a system or the ripple effect of modifying our processes. That's the reason we've put everything into one place, to know how changes will affect the organization before we start implementing them. When I pull up a report for my customer called a spider diagram, I see all of the touch points that occur throughout the entire project for customer. By having the tool auto-generate this, we know that we are seeing the most current and up-to-date information. We could also view the same information through a spreadsheet or even export it to Excel for further analysis. As we begin to link all of the data that the users have put into their buckets across the entire enterprise, we create agility and maturity. We can now start to see the forest for the trees. As we begin to link in all of the data that the users have put in their buckets across the entire enterprise, we start to see BPMN, the information, the KPIs, the systems, all of those things being linked together in one consistent and mature enterprise view. The key to becoming agile and mature is not just having everything in one place, but to make sure it's consistent and linked across the enterprise. So we're all speaking the same language, using the same terminology, referencing the exact same objects regardless of whether or not we're viewing the data from the IT view, the business view, the strategy view. Then linking that data across models so it's easy to identify and measure the impacts. Easily customizable attributes and views are also key to staying agile and mature, so that as times change, you can change the things you measure and care about. The ability to update and customize your meta models is key. And of course, when looking for a good tool, reporting. It does not help to put the information in if you can't get it back out. If you can't analyze your risk, compliance, cost, metrics, strategy, technology, etc., it won't do you any good. Look for tools with template-driven reporting, the ability to create accurate and up-to-date reports and send them to Excel, Word, PDF, etc. with the click of a button once the template has been defined. If your enterprise information is easy to see, linked and accurate, your enterprise can become mature and agile.
So, as you can see, Envision is an environment that supports many disciplines and many methodologies. Envision can replace all those annoying little departmental apps that creep in because they seem so cheap, but end up segregating cliques into silos. Envision is used across the whole spectrum of an organization, from the CFO and CIO across to the part-time call center agent. When widely deployed, an Envision business object repository delivers consistency and integrity across all business disciplines. Envision users normally start by jumping on the BPMN, or resource management car of the Envision Ferris wheel. From there, it is easy to create a portfolio of business transformation solutions that enhances the way teams work. It increases the effectiveness of your organization in managing internal and external stakeholders. It inspires your team to leverage your tangible and intangible assets. An Envision business object repository manages multiple executive tools from the one box that naturally develops into that single source of truth for your management team.